Great. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for the great introductions for Millie and Sarah. So I want to start by saying thank you all for coming today. I think these kinds of events and activities are really important for building our team. So I'm very glad that you're here. I also want to specifically recognize and thank the LEAD team for the planning and the effort that they put in to both come up with the concept, to design these sessions, and then there's a fair amount to both pick the right people and help the presenters understand how to what kind of information and content is going to be most relevant and useful for you. So again, thanks to everyone. So Millie and Sarah asked me to share just a couple observations. So from my perspective and from the leadership team's perspective and the team's perspective, why is professional development important? Sounds kind of obvious, but I think there's some important things in there. And second, why should each of us as individual team members care about professional development? Again, kind of obvious, but I think there's some important things. But then also, from my perspective as the division, how does professional development lead to a stronger team and a stronger division? So how does it kind of tie in from a big picture? I'm going to spend just a couple minutes on those, and then I'm also open for questions. So be thinking about it. If there's things that you'd like to ask me around professional development, I'll leave some time at the end. So why is professional development important? Well, I think the obvious thing is when, for all of us, growing and learning is something that's important to each of us individually. Every time we learn something new or we figure out how to perform a task better or we gain new knowledge in an area that we care about, that's meaningful for us. And I think that's a key part of it professionally. When if you face the same challenge or problem day in and day out and you learn a new skill or a different way to do it and all of a sudden it becomes much easier, it can be getting smarter about a piece of software, figuring out a different way to maybe facilitate and lead a group meeting, or maybe do a different kind of analysis that allows you to get the answer more quickly. That's meaningful. So that's one. Second, professional development is important from a career development standpoint. Not a lot of us know exactly where our careers are going to end up, and I think by actively building your skills, trying new things, building experiences, it helps us kind of chart that path. Some of us might know exactly where we want to be 20 years from now. That was not true for me, and I think for a lot of us, that's key. And what I would say is why it's important, when you're actively engaged in building your skills and enhancing your experience, it helps you make some of those decisions about where do I want to go. To a certain extent, I know what my strengths are and I know what some of my limits are, but I find that I keep learning about those every day. And so the more I do professional development, it helps me make more decisions about where I'd like to go career-wise. So bringing it to a more practical level, why it's important is we all work for clients. We all work on projects. Our clients' realities are changing a lot. Just look at the news, whether it's pressures to show more results out of their programs, the kinds of issues and challenges that our clients are facing these days. Years ago, identity theft was not an issue. Now, all of a sudden, security around personally identifiable information and so forth with all the changes in technology is really key. So our clients' realities are changing, and if we are not learning and growing, we're not going to be able to be teams that can support them. So that's third. And then fourth is our projects evolve and change over time. And so if we don't keep building and adding to our skill base and our knowledge, then we're not going to be able to respond the way when our work changes. So those are 4 reasons in terms of why I think professional development is important. Why should each of us care about it is, first of all, from a career development standpoint, if you are actively engaged in professional development, then you're really actively shaping your career. And I would say from my standpoint, I think that's really important for all of us. If we don't make decisions about kind of our career directions and the areas that we want to focus on, then sometimes those decisions will get made for us. And so by being proactive about professional development, looking at opportunities, seeing what's on the Learning Institute, engaging with your supervisors in terms of your goals, then you are helping to actively shape that. Let's see. And I guess that kind of goes to my second point. Professional development is a collective activity. Each of us as staff people have areas where we need to learn and grow, and we have people to learn from. But the people who can help us learn don't always know exactly what we as staff members might need. And so by being actively engaged and saying, here's what I'm good at, here's what I don't know, and here's what I'd really like to learn, and here's some of the questions, you're helping the professional development be more responsive to what you need, and you're going to get more out of it. Sometimes I think we've all sat in training courses where you thought, that's interesting, but I didn't really learn a whole lot, and I don't feel like I'm necessarily as smart at the end as I thought I was going to be. When we are actively engaged in professional development, you're more likely to come out of that training session, learning session, could be a networking experience, feeling like you got something useful at the end. And then the third reason I'd say WIKE here is because engaging in professional development will help build your network. And I think our networks are important. We have personal networks and we have professional networks, and I think both benefit. And when you're engaging in professional development, you're expanding your network. And part of that is when, and I hope everybody carries this through, when you gain new knowledge or new skills in an area, one of the coolest and best things that you can do is come back and share that with other members of your team. When you do that, they're going to come back and share other things with you, and so it creates an active learning environment. So one of the reasons that I think focusing on professional development, being very intentional about it, is it creates an ongoing culture of professional development. But I think for each of us as individual staff members, it can make a difference in terms of our network. Last, just real quickly, so why is professional development, so that's a little bit about why each of us as staff members should care. Why is it important to us as a team and for a division? First is as projects change, as we continue to grow, which we are, we need more capacity, and in some cases, we need new capacity and new skills. And so by actively supporting the development of skills across our team members, we then have people who can step into new roles and help us complete the work that we're winning. Second, professional development is important in terms of working smarter. With a lot of the changes in technology or things that we're learning, there's our current way of doing business, but I would submit, and many of you can probably give us examples, there are probably ways that we could work better, smarter, and more effectively, ways that we can strengthen our communication, ways that we can organize and coordinate our projects better, and in some cases, there's ways that we can use technology that just helps us work more effectively and more efficiently. One that I would throw out is, several of the teams are starting to explore and build knowledge and skills around web-based tools for collaborating, especially when people are working across multiple sites. I've seen a lot of progress in terms of how we can work more efficiently, share information more efficiently. Some of our processes for reviewing documents or sharing things with clients or putting new content out on the website, I've seen ways that we can save a tremendous amount of time in doing that and a few less gray hairs for some of the people who have to get that out. So working smarter is the second. And the last is, to go back to the point I just mentioned, we all learn from each other. And that benefits us as a division. So I'm going to give you a concrete example. There was an offsite yesterday for ECSP for the senior leadership team, and a number of folks from the lead team came and presented. And they wanted some feedback, and so they used electronic polling. And so I think you all have used this. You have the website, you can do the polling and so forth. I would say that there was some serious learning that was going on about how do you use the smartphone, how do you connect to the technology, how do I get a B in there? Okay, that's how I can do it. So just the fact that there was some incredibly useful information that the lead team got from a room with 90 people in it, all nicely captured electronically, and everybody felt very engaged, and I would say they learned how to use the technology as well. So it's just an example out of this professional development that we all learn from each other, and I think we end up being a stronger team as a result. So those are, that's what I want to share. Sarah, do you want to take questions, or should we move on to the next part?
I think we maybe should move on.
All right, let's move on to the next. Okay. So again, glad that everyone's here, and thank you to all of our presenters who are joining us.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to break out into breakout rooms. So when you signed in, you should have gotten a little card with a room on it. It should either say conference room A, B, or C. So this is conference room A. Directly behind this wall is conference room B, and then conference room C is across the hall. That is where you will stay the entire time. The presenters are going to be the ones rotating. So if you need to step out and get food or go to the bathroom or whatever, feel free to do so, especially during those breaks. It's a really great time. And then once we're done with that, if you guys could just come back in here for 5 minutes at the very end, that'd be helpful. Okay? Great, thanks.
So I haven't responded to your email yet. I haven't had a chance to be on the survey.
Oh, no, that's fine.
For me, when Mark said need this today, and I was like, no way.
I was like, I can't, like, I went to her office purposely to tell her, like, I can't make this with it, like.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, in serious panic mode, where I was like, she didn't check the subject line. And I was like, oh, thank God, like, I was about to have.
I'm not gonna be able to do the survey until like 8
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I was like, I can't write, like, translate this entire survey and upload it for you. Sorry.
Well, I did it last year with like the online surveys.
Right.
I have to make copies. I don't know how long it'll take, but
Yeah.
it's possible.
No. But yeah, it was like, I can't do that and translate it in the same day. So you should probably call PDA. Yeah, it doesn't have to capacity to do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Going well.
Alright. You told me you guys take a break. Oh, thank you for the little while. Okay.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately. All right, thanks.
Just a truck.
Good to go? Wow.
Great, and
You want me to
just to
stand
be
over
on
here?
camera, just,
You want
yeah,
me to stand?
that'd be great, thank you.
Stand right here?
Sure.
Yeah, stand like this.
All I do.
So, I feel a little intimidated because my boss for the past week is right here. And everybody's boss is back there, but let's see what we can get through it.
Yeah, right?
So, in the introduction, you know, they did a great job of saying who I am, but I thought I'd give you a little bit more. So, yeah, I went to University of Maryland. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, so I'm a huge Yankees fan.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Right, got one in the room. Great. But then I went to University of Maryland, like I said, and I majored in econ, finance with a minor in criminal justice, so I thought I was going to go work for the CIA. I didn't, obviously. I'm actually afraid of guns. That's a whole different thing going on or whatever. But I think, to Eric's point earlier, you never really know where you're going to end up. So when I was, last night I took my wife actually to the Yankees-Orioles game. Yeah. And we're sitting there and I'm telling her, oh, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. She's like, is that what you do? Like, well, no, not really. But this intimidating young woman kept telling me this is what I'm going to do on the day or whatever. But it really goes to Eric's point of you never really know what skills you're going to have to use. So I'm a nerd by nature. You know, if you major in econ, you're a nerd. My wife, but I say that my wife's the smarter person in the family because she's a hearing and speech pathologist. So she's really nerdy or whatever. So she thinks what I do is really boring. I play with numbers all day. But when you're in situations like this where you actually get to talk to people, when you're a nerd like myself, it actually goes to Eric's point of using different skills. So when Sarah and I were talking, one of the things that she mentioned is that, you know, it's always interesting to find out what educational assistance opportunities are at any company. And I think we at ICF have a really good program. And here's why. So I think the way the process works, so you have some materials in front of you. I'm not going to speak to those. You can read those on your own time. There's a fact sheet. There's a checklist. There's how to get through the system. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. So here's the short version of how this whole thing works. You identify that you want to get a master's or an undergrad degree or some type of certification that's relevant to the work that you do here. And relevant is relative. Relevant is relative. So I do comp and benefits. So you would think any compensation certification or benefit certification would kind of be my limitation, or if I wanted to get my MBA in human resources or a doctorate in, I don't know, quantitative analysis or something like that. But the last certification I got was actually in public speaking. I don't normally public speak. This is probably the biggest audience I get other than the ELT. That's like 13 people. But it's really up to you, to Eric's point, of talking with your manager around what they think could add to your career. Because, you know, our biggest asset, we don't make widgets, right? So we don't make cars, we don't make tires, we provide services, we provide advice to clients. So a lot of times there are other certifications or degrees that will really add to your ability to talk to clients, to advise them, to provide them with information. So when you start thinking about what else do I want to do, just explore it. Like, talk to your manager, talk to your HR business partner, talk to Eric, talk to me, talk to anybody, because you never actually know what might be applicable. So I've gotten like 5 certifications, and I'm used to being the youngest person in the room, but I'm assuming that I'm not at this moment. But some older than you guys, a lot older than you guys. I might be 38, and I've gotten like 5 different certifications, totally unrelated to my field. 2 of which were here at ICF, and 3 were at another consulting firm. Again, the idea is you never know how you're going to use stuff, right? So I have a certification in public speaking. I have a certification in like this health program around how to make people healthier. I'm not the healthiest guy, but I was able to use that certification to get my job here. So part of my job is also to run health programs for the company, right? So all these different certifications, again, you never know how it's going to go. But the way that the program works is you identify something that you either want to get a certification in, or your undergrad or master's or doctorate or whatever. Talk to your manager, talk to your HR business partner. You can go on the site, and again, there's information in there about how to get on the site and what to do, but then you just put in, they call it an application, but it's really not an application. It's just kind of all the information around whatever program or programs that you want to get in. So it can be up to 5 courses or 5 programs or 5 certifications or whatever. For undergrad or certifications, it's up to $3,500 annually that you can be reimbursed for. And for grad programs, it's $5,000 annually. But that annual, so I always get the question of, is it on a school year or a calendar year? Because they're very different, right? It's on a calendar year, so January through December. As long as you're taking the class some point January through December, and you finish that class sometime between January through December, then that counts towards that year. So using this year as an example, let's say you wanted to go to a 3-day certification on being a project manager. You want to get your PMP, something like that. As long as you do it before December 31st, December 30th, I'm not sure what day of the week, but basically the end of the year, you're fine, you're all set. Now, of course, you have to pass the class with an acceptable grade, which is a whole different conversation, but I'm assuming that everyone would pass, you pass your certifications. You'd be reimbursed. You might be reimbursed in January, depending on when you put in your reimbursement, but you'd still be reimbursed. And then you could take another certification in January. January 1st, you could start all over again. So again, one of the limitations at other companies is they'll only allow you to, let's say, get an additional degree one time in your career. Here, you can keep going, and not that I'm suggesting that everybody keep going. You have other things to do, you want to have lives and stuff, but you can continue to keep going. So there's no limitation that way. And then once you pass the class, so I think it's with a C- or better, I believe, then you put in your application or put in your reimbursement. That money, a check is cut to you within like a week or 2. So it's really not a complicated process. And I think one of the biggest things, I'm actually hot here, so I'm going to take my jacket off. I usually don't do this, but it's a little warm. I think one of the biggest things about this is it's really an investment in you, right? So you spend a lot of hours here. We all do. So we're working 40, 50, 60, whatever amount of hours. We're building clients, we're doing things, we're providing advice, we're doing programs like this, whatever, but I would advise everyone to make an investment in themselves. So again, I'm 38. When I was 23, I was in a similar program. But I chose not to make an investment in myself for like 10 years. And that definitely limited me in terms of my client-facing opportunities. So again, I worked at another consulting firm for like 5 years. Certain skills I did not have at that point in time. And because of that, it limited my earning potential. So we're gonna pretend like Eric's not here, but I think we all wanna make more money. Like, we all like what we do, but we all wanna make more money. The way to do that is to build your skill set. So invest in yourself, do these types of programs, do different things, talk to your manager, talk to your HR business partner. You can always talk to me. I'm on the 3rd floor of the building. My door's often closed, but you can still come and talk to me, send me an email, because I really think this is the best way to move your career forward, along with getting different opportunities and clients and things of that nature. So I don't want to bore you with reading through all this stuff, but I want you guys to ask me questions. I mean, you can ask me personal questions. You can ask me questions about the Yankees. I know a lot. But ask whatever you want, because I think this is one of your few opportunities, and I'll say I have to give Eric credit, not just because we're friends, but I have to give him credit because a lot of other divisions and groups don't make this investment in time. So you figure whatever, and I'm assuming most of you are billable, whatever your bill rate is, you're here. So you could be billing time, making money for the company, but Eric and his team were making an investment in you for 3 hours or 2 hours or however long it is. Feel free to ask me whatever you want. Stand here. Do it, Dan.
I have a question.
Ma'am?
Is there a common set of certifications or programs that you see people go for at ICF?
I do. So, great question. A lot of the PMP has always been like really popular around here because everyone in some way, shape, or form manages a project or a solution or something like that. So I see a lot of PMP certifications. I see a lot of people getting a master's in their specific field. So again, my wife is a speech pathologist. I don't know what she was doing, but it took her like 3 years to get her master's in speech pathology, and now she works with kids, and she's happy, and all this other type of stuff. At one point in time, she was in corporate America. She hated it, but those type of things, so getting something specific in a field and some type of project management certification. Then another thing that's starting to kind of creep up is like Lean Six Sigma, those type of things. So kind of like analysis type of how do I do better jobs at analyzing big data, big populations, big whatever. And then the last one that I've seen a few is like health programs, so like population type of health, whether it be degrees, certifications, so somewhere in there. And then probably the last one is different types of learning certification. So Jihan and the other people who are in the back of the room with me, I think all of them have done different types of certifications around ways to structure learning courses. Most of the stuff you've been doing for the past 4 weeks, like structuring learning courses, creating courses that are more effective, whether it be for clients or internal clients. So those are probably the biggest ones. Another big thing is, so again, I'm an HR guy, so I'm not supposed to say these things, but I'm going to say them anyway because I think it's important. I think that when you're talking to your manager or your HR business partner or Eric or myself or whoever, and you're trying to find advice around what types of courses I should take, what certifications I should do, there are a lot of different ways to show the value that it would add to your career here at ICF, right? So if I went to my boss, her name's Kristen right now, and I said, hey, Kristen, you know what? I was down here, I was doing this learning thing, Sarah and Eric were, giving me this stuff to do, whatever, I had to go downstairs, and if I said to her, you know what, now I'm interested in that, I'm pretty sure she'd be like, okay, well, why? Then I tell her, it's pretty interesting, I get to teach people, people get to ask me questions, and then she's like, all right, fine. And I think there are a lot of managers around here who take that same approach because they know how hard all of us work, right? So as long as you're not doing it on company time, they're like, hey, we want to support you, we want you to grow, we want you to grow your career here at ICF. What a lot of companies do is they only want you to grow to a certain point. So grow for 3 years, and then we burned you out. I think, especially in this group or in this division, that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to grow you and keep growing you, and keep growing you. Sometimes it's going to be challenging, but I think it helps a lot in your career development.
All right, I'll give one example for Sarah there. So
there's a person in our division, his name's Ben Miller, started here as a research assistant. He's now a principal and worked on and got his master's in economics at George Mason while he was working here. Did a part-time program, which might explain your spouse needing 3 years, and did a part-time, and it's been really valuable. And it's out of that program, there's skills that he regularly brings in and uses, whether he's developing new training content for clients and projects, or looking at different kinds of web-based tools to recommend. The economics has been really valuable, and it's been really helpful as we've been, including Ben on proposals and so on, because people say, oh, he has a master's degree, economics background, all of that helps in terms of credentials. The only other one I would throw out in terms of a certification is we have a range of staff who support meetings and events. There's certifications around that, both in terms of training and skills and membership, and we also have, those have also been relevant. I have one, Carrie, that's a process one. So I've identified a course that I'm interested in, and I'd like to get support through the program. What should I do before I register in that course to be on the right side of the process?
Great question. So the first thing, and I know you guys are all very tech savvy, but I'm a big person on picking up the phone. So one, call and find out more information about that course or that certification, whatever it is you're going to do. So that'd be the first step I would take. The second step is talk to your manager / HR business partner / Eric / somebody, like just, to get their thoughts on it so you're not wasting your time. More than likely you're not, because you guys are all smart people, so you've identified something about this program that you can apply to your lives, your jobs, whatever. And then fill out, so you'll go on, and again, that information is in here. You'll go onto the website, you'll put in the information around the course, what it is, what school or program or whatever it's in, and then submit it. That submission goes to your manager or division lead or ops director, depending on who you are. Then that either gets approved or denied. More than likely it's going to be approved because you've already talked to Eric, you've already talked to whomever, and then from there you just start taking the class. As long as you do it within 14 days before the class starts. So 2 weeks before the class starts, make sure you do that. It gets routed to that person, they take care of it. You take the class. After you take the class, you have 45 days from the time you take and pass the class. After you pay for the class, take and pass the class, you can submit the grade, kind of the information about the school, and get reimbursed. Again, it's really not a difficult process, but I would always start with picking up the phone or walking down the hall or whatever, talk to the right people.
I would recommend talk to your supervisors and potentially your line of business leaders, especially if it's a pretty targeted, very highly relevant workshop. It's a really quick conversation. If you were looking at like a longer program, something, thinking about a master's program, I would really talk through that with your supervisor, make sure that there's a full understanding, make sure that they understand before you get close to being registering or anything like that, because what you don't want to do is get hung up in the process in terms of approvals and then have like registration deadlines or things like that. So I'd have all those conversations early, do what Kari's saying in terms of that advanced approval, especially if there's anything of substantial dollars and size on that, just get it all clear. And then all you're doing is using the web-based tool to kind of complete the process, but get that buy-in up front.
And if you guys ever need any help, so all the HR business partners, so Jill Rogers, I'm not sure if you guys know her, my staff, me, we're all here to help. So if you run across a problem with kind of the process itself, give us a call, even if you want advice. So there's actually something on the website, and you can go check that out yourselves, where they will help you to identify. So let's say I'm interested, and I'll just use PMP because it's probably the easiest thing for me to remember. If I wanted to do my PMP certification, I can call in or go into this website, and they'll actually help educate you around. So here are some programs in the area. In the Northern Virginia area, I live in Maryland, in the Maryland area, here's the cost, here's when it starts, here's whatever. They will do that research for you. So you can easily do that, just get the information from them, and then have the conversations that we're talking about. So that service is out there also, that's free, no charge or anything. Cool.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. So when you were 23 or 24, I forgot, when you decided to go for your first certification, or I guess you could even say like maybe a master's program, what what were your thoughts? How did you think about like choosing what you wanted to do? Because I'm 24 and, you know, I got out of school 2 years ago and I'm still trying to figure out what I would even get certified.
Great question. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a long answer because I think it's going to help. So I got my econ and all that stuff degree. Then I went and worked for an insurance carrier as an underwriter. So I was underwriting like medical products and dental products and stuff like that for large companies. Then I left there and went to another company. Then I left there and went to work for a consulting firm for 5 years. And throughout that whole process, I'm like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be dealing with insurance for the rest of my life. Of course, now it's 16 years later. I'm still dealing in insurance, but you know, you start to go down this path and you start to realize there are different pieces. So no matter what your area of expertise is or whatever you're focused on, there's a lot of different ways to apply it. So my advice, I don't know you, sir. What's your name?
Matt.
Okay, so now we're friends, Matt. So me and you, we're friends now.
Right.
So I would say to my friend Matt, hey Matt, you know what? Think about what are you most interested in and see if that can apply to your career, whichever way you want to go with your career. So again, I don't know what you do, Matt, even though we're friends, but start thinking along those lines. So for me, even though I was like, I don't want to do this insurance stuff anymore, I did see an opportunity in the market that the insurance world was going to blow up. Now that there's healthcare reform, I have job security probably for the next 30 years or so. But at the time, I was like, well, insurance is boring, but I can also do this part of insurance. I can go the actuarial route. I can go the training route. I can go whatever. So I'm assuming whatever your area of expertise is, you can go to more the subject matter expert route. You can go to the training route, consulting route, business development. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. So just take some time. And I would even call that number that I said because it's even more than them just doing the research. They're going to ask you some questions. So they're going to ask you questions like, so what do you like to do? Like, what do you think you're good at? What do your peers think you're good at? What does your boss think you're good at? What do you want to be good at? And maybe they can help you map out a course. So maybe it's not immediately going to get a master's. Maybe it's get this certification and then maybe this certification and then a master's, or vice versa, or maybe no master's, or whatever the case might be.
So Matt, one thing I would offer is, I think a good conversation might be with some of your colleagues and peers who've been through what you've been through. I think there's people here at ICF, they're the ones who are still here, but I mean, there's people who face some of these same choices and they can kind of tell you their thought process, and I think you could also say, well, here's my reality, and I think they can just talk to them colleague to colleague. I can make sure that the lead team has the names of like 5 or 6 people who are here who kind of been through some of these decisions, and then they can kind of help you think through it in at least our context here. Good. Thanks.
Well, I think we should probably transition now. So does anyone have any last minute questions? And of course, like Kari said, feel free to email him if you think of anything afterwards, or call him.
And if you ever can't find me, there's another lady, her name is Laura Slayton. She knows everything about everything at ICF. She's on my staff. If you call her, she will tell you what you need to know, I guarantee it. So.
Cool. Thank you. So you guys can stay here.
Oh, I'm supposed to leave. My
Yeah.
bad. I'm sorry. I'm like, why are you guys just sitting here?
Awkward.
Yeah, you guys take it easy, all right?
So you guys, would it be helpful, we can kind of talk about the process, but sitting here looking at this, it seems like people who've actually used education systems or used the learning institute well, so that might be helpful to have some colleagues come and talk, and then kind of have a blend of both colleagues talking and the people who are part of who know the process or some of the resources. Does that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because, you know, the process advice, to kind of go to Matt's point, the process advice only goes so far. You know, there's some bigger decisions. involved, yeah.
Everyone have a good day.
Sorry.
Bye, Matt.
Bye.
Hi, this is Heidi on the phone. Was there like handouts that were sent out via email as well?
not sure, Heidi.
Hi.
No problem. I mean, I can follow up with
Well-
everyone later.
We'll have to start when she comes back.
I'm going to pass out the handout for my presentation on the Career Navigation Center and Alyssa's presentation on the Learning Institute. We have a 2-for-1 deal on our handout. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm working things. I didn't realize that we actually have like an online system for tracking all this.
It's really helpful. No one's talked to me about it like since I started, but I looked it up once, but I wasn't really sure how it works, so.
I had something that all this, for me, happens via email. Just kind of-
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, I think we're going to get started. Again, my name is Jehan Taffy. I'm a program specialist in talent development, and I'm very excited to talk to you about the Career Navigation Center today. Before we get started, has anyone here been in the Career Navigation Center since its launch in March? Okay, great. So we have a mix, so some of this will be familiar for those of you who've been in it, but maybe you might learn something new. And for those of you who haven't been in it yet, I'm going to give you some background on it, and then also we'll do a demo. For those of you who have been in it, do you have initial feedback, thoughts, anything that was really, exciting to you when you went in?
I thought there were a ton of self-assessments, which I think are gonna be really helpful.
Yep.
It's just about learning how to use those, I think, and figuring out what the results mean.
Definitely, definitely, and hopefully I can show you that today as we get started, okay? So definitely want to start out by saying, Eric, everything you were saying in your intro, I was thinking, the Career Navigation Center can do that, it can help you, it can help you, it can help you. So hopefully what I show you today can help you in all the professional development things that you're pursuing. Also, we have a suggestion box over on the buffet over there. If you have any questions, suggestions, obviously I'm open to you asking questions during the presentation at any time, but if you want to be anonymous or if you want to put your contact information down for us to contact you later, feel free to do that. And that's going to be up for Alyssa's presentation for the Learning Institute as well. And Kari, I'm sure, can put stuff in there too. We'll take it. So to get started, I want you to take a moment and reflect on your role here at ICF. And you're welcome to share your answers to these, or you can keep them to yourself. But the first question is, how excited are you to get started on your work each day?
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day. I think it's a normal answer. Next, what type of work could you be doing more or less of? And third, what skills and strengths do you want to use more? So the way you might be answering these questions could be the difference between a job and a fulfilling career. And hopefully the Career Navigation Center can help you direct you to that fulfilling career. I want to take a moment to talk about ICF's career management philosophy. So it's important to know that the Career Navigation Center is this new exciting tool, but we've had existing things to support your career management for a while now, and it's supported by our philosophy. So first, ICF supports employees and managers with tools and training to take ownership of their career. We provide the tools and training, but ultimately it's up to you to take ownership of your career and to take ownership of the success of it. Second, we want employees to engage with their internal network and have conversations with their manager to reflect on your interests, your options, and to help define career goals. And I use the term manager here, but you'll hear me say it could be a coach, it could be a mentor, it could be someone else that you go to talk about these things. Obviously, your manager is a very pivotal person in terms of your career, but there are definitely other players. When you think about, Eric was saying your network, your professional network, you could be having conversations with them as well. And third, well-targeted development plans equip employees to perform successfully in more challenging assignments and to help realize your career goals. So you've probably done development plans in Compass. The Career Navigation Center also provides some opportunity to help you think about those and complete them. So as I said, we have many resources to support that philosophy. So you'll see we have guidelines like the career path and the performance management competencies, which I'm sure you've all seen. We have systems like the Learning Institute, Compass, the Internal Career Center, and then we have processes like the performance review and goal setting cycle, and then the internal candidate process. Career Navigation Center is one brand new exciting tool to kind of help with this puzzle, the puzzle of career management. So I keep talking about it, but what exactly is it for those of you who haven't got in it? So I really like the blue words that are really important when we think about what the Career Navigation Center is. It will empower and assist you and your manager to engage in productive career conversations on an ongoing basis, and it'll help you broaden your thinking about your career. So important, we want you to feel empowered to take control of your career, and we hope the Navigation Center can do that. Also, we want you to have productive career conversations on an ongoing basis. So this isn't one time a year, it's performance review time, I'm going to have a conversation about my career. This is ongoing, year-round. These things should be happening. Also, in terms of broadening your thinking, the Career Navigation Center helps you think about what all your options are. And we'll talk about career options a little bit later, but thinking about kind of your career as a whole, not so much maybe what is my next move. That's clearly important, but it helps you kind of think generally too. So the framework that is in the Career Navigation Center are what you'll see on the left and right. On the left is what we'll focus on today. It's the career roadmap for employees. On the right is the career coaching roadmap for managers. Although we're going to focus on the one for employees today, I do want to point out that when you go into the Career Navigation Center, you'll see you do have access to the manager information as well. We thought it was important to keep that in there kind of for a few reasons. Number one, we thought it was completely fine that you could see what your manager might be doing in terms of preparing for your career conversations or for your career goals. Second, some of you may be formally or informally managing people, or you might be a career coach to someone, even if it's a colleague where you're talking about your career. So you could find some really great tools in here. Even if you aren't managing a team, you could find some great things to help with your conversation. But again, because today we're going to be focusing on the employees, I want to quickly go over the roadmap. We have the 5 Ps. First is person, knowing your strengths. How am I unique? This will help you figure that out if you're not sure. Second is performance and knowing your reputation. So what am I known for here? What do people think I'm good at? Third is place and knowing your environment. So how is the world of work changing? What does it look like in my industry? How's it changing in my organization? Fourth is possibilities, and this is setting SMART goals and figuring out what are my aspirations. And then fourth is planning. That's the development action plan. How can I really accelerate my learning based on all these things that I know about myself? So the framework is supported by lots of great resources, e-learning, assessments like Sarah said, worksheets, conversation tips, and articles. Anybody have any questions to this point? Okay. So you might be thinking, gee, Han, that sounds great, but I'm so busy. When am I going to do any of this? Well, it's important that you invest in your professional development. And what we love about the Career Navigation Center is that it provides just-in-time, unique resources to fit your needs. So you might have some extra time in between meetings. You might have some downtime in between projects. Things like the e-learning, there's 10 different modules. They're between 6 and 22 minutes each. And they'll all tell you beforehand how long they are, so you can know going into it. The assessments could take between 15 and 20 minutes. You might be able to breeze through the questions if you really know yourself in that topic, or it could take you a while. And lastly, the worksheets, tips, articles, those are really self-paced. You can download them, you could complete them then, hang them in your office, whatever you want. So now I want to move into the demo. So the Learning Institute is the place to start. Alyssa will talk about the Learning Institute a little bit more, but the Career Navigation Center is part of the Learning Institute. So to get to the Career Navigation Center, on the Learning Institute homepage, you'll click on Learn About the Career Navigation Center. Intuitive, right? And there's two sections of this beautiful page. The bottom part is the Career Management ICF course. I love this course. It's short, and it's a really great place to start before you even go to the Navigation Center. It will help you think about your career specific to ICF. So it talks about the philosophy, which I went over earlier, but then it also talks about things like, what does it mean to me here at ICF, and what are some tools and resources specific to ICF to help me in this process? Things like planning, what can I do during the planning stage? And it talks about the resources, things like that. So good to do to get in, kind of get your head in the game before you go into the Navigation Center. And then when you're ready, all you have to do is click Enter Here. It's single sign-on, takes you right to the page. There's a little bit of a lag, so I'm sorry, I'll pay attention up here. So you'll see on the homepage there's quite a few things, some duplicates here. So Get Started down here is also my roadmap, which is where we'll start. Career Options here down here will take you to the same place. And then these 4 places, assessments, articles, worksheets, e-learning, they'll all take you to the resource library. This is good if you go in and you say, I know I just want to do an e-learning module, and you can start there. If you're not sure what you want to do and if you want to get some more of the framework behind you, you can go to My Roadmap. And you'll see here on the left is the roadmap for employees, and on the right is the roadmap for managers. Again, we're going to focus just on the employee one today, but that's where you would have access to both. You'll see down here there's a Why Career Development. This is kind of like an intro to career management. And then there's kind of like a conclusion, the taking action piece, and in between are all the 5 Ps. So if you want to refresh on what they all are, you can click on them and there'll be a little blurb down here. And when you're ready, you can click Start Roadmap. Okay, and today we're going to look at place. So when you click on one of these pieces of the roadmap, it will give you a high-level overview of what this section is. Also, you'll be able to click on this tab, Additional Resources. So this will show you organizational resources. These are specific to ICF that could help you in this module. Also, there are related articles that you can click on. If you click on each of these tabs, you'll see something a little bit different. So first we have the e-learning module. So we see it's 8 minutes, and it's how you study future trends that might impact your career. Then there's a Build Your Support worksheet. So again, everything related to this topic is right here. And then there's a career risk assessment. So if you want to take the assessment, you can, well, if you're not sure, you can read about it, but then you can learn more. And it'll kind of give you just some more information about what the assessment's about, and then you can actually take it. So what's so great about this site is that everything related to this topic is right here. On the tab, all the resources are right here. Again, we'll show you later where you can look at the resources, all of them together. but still great if you're thinking about, I really need to work on place and where I am in the organization. Next, I want to show you career options. Any questions so far? Any feedback? Yeah.
So for the assessments and the resources, how often are they updated and like new ones added?
Good question. So I know the articles, well, I don't know how often they're updated. I think what we've had for a while. I think they add articles every once in a while, but I'm not sure the frequency. But that's a good question. I'm going to find out for you. Okay. And actually, I wonder if Millie would mind if I did an assessment on her under her name. I'll do fake questions or fake answers, and then she can erase them or do her own. But at least I can show you guys what kind of the results are. But in terms of career options, this is something we really love about the Career Navigation Center. Everyone might be thinking about their career in terms of what's next, how am I going to move up, what's my next vertical movement. And what this shows you is career isn't just about vertical movement. It's about lateral movement. There could be a great enrichment opportunity. There could be an exploration opportunity. And to learn about that, you click on one like enrichment, and it'll tell you what that means. So enrichment is a process in which you expand or change your job responsibilities while staying in the same position. All of these career options are in the Career Management ICS course. So of course you can get them here, but that's also why I like to do the course beforehand, because you can be thinking about what the options are before kind of taking the assessment, and you just kind of have a broader understanding of it. And the last place I want to go is the resource library, where I think I have enough time to maybe go through the assessment and see if you guys can see the results and what it looks like. So the roadmap, this is what we looked at earlier. E-learning, if you know you want to do e-learning, this will show you the topics, how long they are. It'll show you kind of a short blurb of what they're about. And then it'll also tell you, for instance, Module 4 is about person, know your strengths. So if you take this e-learning and you really like it and you want some more help with it, you can go to the person section. And then we have the assessments, which we have the Career Initiative Assessment. And the Career Initiative Assessment has questions like, I can rank order my preference for working with people, ideas, data, or things. So how easily or not easily can you do that? I can name my competencies, skills, and significant accomplishments without hesitation. I can describe how my profession contributes to the mission of my organization. This assessment is a great place to start. Again, it's the Career Initiative Assessment. It will help you figure out where you are in the 5 Ps. And if you go to results and recommendations, it'll show you where you're doing well and where you might need to take some action, and kind of as a caution. And if you click on, for instance, performance reputation, it will give you actual action items for what you can be doing under there. So for instance, ask a representative mix of 5 different customers, internal and external, to rate how often you do the following: appreciate their needs, respond promptly and appropriately to their needs. So it gives you specific actions. So to your point, when you're asking, what do I do with the assessments? Under each of the sections, and this is for all of the assessments, it'll give you an idea of your results, a high-level view, and then it'll get into the details of, you're doing really well. Even though you're doing really well, here are some suggestions for action. So these are things that maybe you can use in an action plan or a development plan to improve on that area. So also in the resource library, we have some worksheets, and this is a great one I like to show, prepare your conversation. So again, career management is about having those ongoing productive conversations. This can help you, again, it's a sample, so it'll help you determine the desired outcome to your conversation. What questions do I want to explore? What are 2 or 3 areas I want to discuss? And then even prepare the questions that you want to ask. And I think I can close this here. And when you're ready, you can actually download a PDF that you can edit and write in whatever, the answers that you want. You can take this to your meeting with you. You can keep it for yourself as a planning tool. Regardless, it's good to help you think about, what am I going to say in this conversation? There has to be a point to it. It's not just, let's talk about my career and where I want to go. And lastly, here are some of the articles. So for instance, under career options, which we talked about, there's this one called The More the Merrier. Let's open here in a PDF. And you'll see here, they're quite short. This one's 4 pages, and it's just like, if you would download an HBR article. Has some really great information on what exactly these options are again. And then I really like this down here, some of the do's and don'ts. So don't do it all at once. Take some baby steps. Don't say, oh my gosh, I need to do an enrichment opportunity, and then right after that, I'm going to do a vertical move. Take it one at a time, because while you're in that enrichment opportunity, you might change your views, and you might say, you know what, I'm going to take a lateral move instead of a vertical move. So this is an example of an article. Now, I know I showed you guys a lot in a very short amount of time. The takeaway is that the Career Navigation Center is here to help support you in having those ongoing conversations, and hopefully it does empower you to take control of your career and really have a successful one here at ICS. So with that being said, does anybody have any other questions? I know we have some time right now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you log on to this, do you have like a profile that tells you everything you've taken and things like that, or is it just what it is?
Good question. It is kind of what it is. It'll save your assessments and your results. So, for instance, that was Millie's assessment result. Hopefully she didn't mind my sharing. It was good.
Yeah.
And either way, they're not good or bad, really, because it's your personal situation. So, it'll save your assessments. Up here, it should tell you the last place you were. So we were in the career risk assessment, so it saves kind of where you were last. But there's not like a profile saying, this is kind of where you stand, and this is all you've done.
Okay.
And the other room had a question. They asked if the assessments saved, but also you can print them out. So you can take it to a meeting with your manager or coach if you want, or keep it for yourself, but you can print them and take them with you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'll be around at the end too, and if you have anything that you want to add to the suggestion or question box, you can do so. Okay? Thank you, guys.
One question from the phone. This is Heidi. I was just
Hi.
wondering if you have seen really good outcomes or successful uses of it. Is there someone who's established a good pattern of, maybe they've set aside time and you've seen that be very helpful, or maybe people who generally take a certain approach to it have more success than others?
So that's a great question, and I'll talk into the camera being that you're remote and I forget the camera's there. So that's a really good question. Being that it's just launched in March, we're still looking for those success stories. So if you or if anyone has one, please share them. I can tell you from my personal preference, because I've had access to it for a while, do pilot it and everything. I like to go in just every once in a while, if I'm going to be having a one-on-one with my manager, or and I've been thinking about my career, I'll go in and just browse through the assessment to see what was my result last time, like on the career initiative assessment. What should I really be thinking of? But I think it's personal, but it's important to use it in those conversations. So even if it's a springboard to remind you to have the conversations to start, that's success to me. So we haven't had anyone email us saying this is what I do and this is how I've been successful in it yet, but we really hope that that we hear some stories from you guys.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? All right, well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation. for those of you on the phone, you can see my screen. I'm just going to be doing some testing for the Learning Institute to make sure we get everything up and ready.
Hi.
I realize this isn't Sarah's computer. This is Millie, so I just was going to test the course for you.
Oh, okay. Did you have issues?
No. But I realized we didn't test it on her Internet Explorer. So, are you doing this one? Top one?
Yeah.
I wonder if I can say later. Job is out of date.
See what happens to it later.
Well, it's like a great place to say, see if this happens. Call us. Why do you?
You're good.
Good.
Okay.
Can they hear?
Yeah, people on the phone
Oh,
can hear.
okay.
Yeah. And see what's on the screen, so I told them I was testing to make sure it worked.
You're welcome.
That's cute.
Good luck.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa Weaver and I'm a program manager in the Learning Institute. I've been at ICF now for 4 months and I'm excited to talk to you today about the Learning Institute. So similar to what Jihan just did, I'd like to take a minute to just reflect back on your skill set. If you do feel comfortable, feel free to speak up. I was going to offer you free candy, but since it's already on the table. First, what are your biggest strengths? What are your biggest areas for improvement? Where would you like to develop your career? So what do you want to do? And lastly, how are you going to develop these skills? Hopefully this was a kind of easy exercise, especially since we're going through the performance management process. So ICF does provide a framework for you to start thinking about your strengths and your development areas. It's the competency model. So the green, the blue, and the gold circles are going to be your behavioral competencies, and then in the middle are your professional skills. There's 5 professional skills, 3 of which are financial acumen, business development, and project management. So this is a great framework for you to start thinking about your strengths and your development areas. That last question I asked you, how are you going to develop these skills? Hopefully the Learning Institute, that's my shameless plug, is going to be one platform that you can use. So this slide talks a little bit about ECSP's specific use in the Learning Institute. How many of you have used the Learning Institute recently? Okay, a little bit of a mix. Last year, 51% of ECSP lead practitioners used the Learning Institute. This is compared to 44% of the overall ICF population. So great job to all of you. The other 2 parts of this slide are going to talk about what courses your peers are completing. So this is other lead practitioners. Business Writing Skills was the top course. This is an instructor-led training course led by Netflix Ender. Critical Thinking Essentials is the second course, and this is a web-based training course that's available via the Learning Institute on demand. And then the other part of this slide, what courses are my managers completing? So if you are starting to think about that next level and what potential courses you could take, here were the top 5 courses completed last year by managers. ICF Capabilities was the top course. I will make a small plug for ICF Capabilities. It was recently redesigned. We just launched it. It has a new framework. Dave Spicer is facilitating it. So I definitely recommend taking that course if you haven't in a while. Yes.
And hi everyone, this is Sammy Tanner. I'm the Senior Operations specialist from the Learning Institute as well. And I'll make a shameless plug for business writing skills. This is one of our top classes overall in the company, and if you haven't had a chance to take it yet, it's also being offered in May here in Fairfax, and in June, for those of you who are remote, you can take the course virtually as well.
Great. And ICF capabilities is also offered via web as well. So for those of you who, it's been a while since you've been in the Learning Institute. The Learning Institute is ICF's learning management system. It can do three primary things. The first is search for courses. So you can search over 250 instructor-led and web-based training courses. You can also have access to 4,000 IT and desktop videos, which I'll show you in a few minutes. And then you can also browse the schools. So let's say you're not really sure what you're looking for. Browsing is another great option that there is. You can browse the schools, or you can browse by delivery method as well, so you can browse instructor-led or the online courses. The second thing it can do is complete courses. So you can complete the on-demand web-based training courses 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or you can enroll and attend as instructor-led training courses. As Sammy mentioned, we have both ICF experts, so Dave Spicer with ICF capabilities, or industry experts as well, such as the Writing Center. The last thing that you can do is track your progress. So you can view in progress and completed training courses, and you can also access your structured learning plans. So this is going to be if you have been involved in any structured programs, such as like business development excellence, management excellence, any of those kind of programs. And then as you just heard, you can also access the Career Navigation Center from the site as well. So what's going on in the Learning Institute? We have a lot going on right now. If you have been visiting the Learning Institute recently, if you did participate in the Learning Institute recently, you've received an invitation to complete this survey. So we're actually going to be revamping the Learning Institute. We want to make it easier for you to find the courses you need when you need them. So we have 3 objectives for this project. We're going to better package and deliver the courses for you, optimize your experience in the Learning Institute, and lastly, better engage and communicate with all of you. So let's say you took a course on project management. We're going to email you and be like, hey, we saw you took a course on project management. Here are a couple of other courses that you could potentially take as well. While we are going through this revamp process, we understand that there's a lot of technical issues. So we did provide a couple of troubleshooting tips for you. First, use the recommended browsers. So we recommend Internet Explorer 8, 9, or 10, Google Chrome, or Mozilla Firefox. We also recommend using the latest versions of Java and Adobe Flash Player. So if you do not have admin access, you actually can't update Java and Adobe Flash Player. So you do have to open a CIT ticket, and inside their tip is just pick up the phone and call them. They can normally just take remote access of your computer right there and fix the issue for you. And lastly, if you do have any questions or run into any issues, please feel free to reach out to us. We really are here to support your development. With that, I'll go ahead and jump into the Learning Institute. Any questions so far? As Jihyun probably showed you, the easiest way to get to the Learning Institute is from the ICF Intranet homepage. Go to Tools and to the Learning Institute. We are in the middle of compliance right now, so you'll see a link to compliance up here at the top. We launched compliance this past Monday, and it's open through May 15th. If you take your courses by next Friday, then you could be entered into a chance to win the Microsoft Surface tablets. Definitely recommend that. And also what we just learned is Eric will also donate by law to a charity $500. So it's another great incentive for you as well. So does anyone remember what that first part of the wheel was? Search. So the first thing that you can do is search for courses. Obviously up here in the left-hand corner. If you don't know specifically what you're looking for, you can browse the schools, which are going to be here in the middle. They're going to be aligned to the competency model. You can also use the Find a Course section, so you can look at all instructor-led training courses, where you can use the filters, or you can also sort by each of the row headers as well. So all those people taking compliance courses. Slowing it down. Funny, the other ones have been fine. Of course, the last one. Here it is. So you can either use the filters up here, or you can also sort by these row headers. I will call out, hopefully it isn't too slow. If you sort by location, it's going to tell you what office the course is in, or it's also going to tell you if it's a web virtual course. So for those of you who aren't in the office, you can still attend some of the instructor-led training courses via link as well. The other option you can do to browse is you can browse all the online courses. So this is going to be by school, category. So for example, ECSP, the top course was Critical Thinking Essentials. So go to Professional Skills, Critical Thinking, it's going to give you back all of the critical thinking courses. Sorry, it's a little bit delayed up here. It's different on my computer screen. So Critical Thinking Essentials, it'll give you the course name, the course description, target audience, and the duration of the course. If we open the course, this is normally where some of the technical issues happen. It's normally going to be your Java player. Go ahead and select Run. Play this course. All of our web-based training courses are normally 5 minutes up to an hour. If you don't have time to sit through an entire course, you maybe just have 10 minutes in between a meeting and you just want a couple of tips. If you come down here to the bottom left-hand corner where the resources is, it'll give you the course index if you want to just go to the specific section of the course, or it also has job aids. So the job aids is what you can use just to pull a couple of the key concepts away from the course as well. So this is another great resource that you can use. Those 4,000 IT desktop videos that I mentioned, that's going to be under Find a Course. If you go to IT and Computer Software, it's going to take you to a website where you can open books 24/7. All of the videos are anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long, so they're pretty short. And then the topics of the videos are up here at the top. So it's a lot of Microsoft courses. Can you see from all the way back there? Microsoft courses, web development, IT topics. And Sammy, do you want to talk about the course catalog?
Sure. So as we've mentioned, we've given you a few ways to search. If you're having trouble figuring out what it is you want to search for, we do have our course catalog here. This is a sortable spreadsheet of pretty much everything that we offer within those instructor-led and our online video courses. The Books 24/7 courses are not listed on here. The Books 24/7 topics are through a vendor, but you can go there and easily search theirs as well. But here again, if you're interested in one particular thing, like you say, like, well, I know I need to do some professional development, you can sort this list and it'll bring out, it'll narrow this topic down, and then you can go back and either type in the search or go look up one of those methods.
So that talks about how to search and complete courses. Does anyone remember what that last part was? Track. So the last part you can do is track. So that's going to be under the My Learning Path section. And if my mouse cooperates. So My Learning Path is going to be where you can track your progress. You can access your learning plan. So this is going to be if you're in any structured learning programs such as Business Development Excellence or Management Excellence. It also has My Training. This is going to be where you have any in-progress web-based training courses. You can go back to it. Let's say you didn't finish it and you want to come back to it later. You can re-access it and it'll pick up right where you left off. And then lastly, My Training History is going to show you where, let's see if I even try it right now. My Training History is going to show you obviously all of the training courses that you have completed. It also sorts it out by PMI credit. So a couple of the other people mentioned that they're studying for their PMP. So we do have PMI credits, PMU credits. So definitely recommend checking this out as well. That's the end of the demo. Any questions in the room or questions on the phone? Do you all want to introduce yourselves real quick? I feel bad knowing anyone's name.
We can do it in the other one.
You want to start?
I'm Pam.
Pam?
I work on OVPT.
Okay.
I'm Olivia. I'm with Information Gateway.
Okay.
Adam with the Office of Child Care.
How many people on the phone do we have?
Yay?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Okay. Whitney with AT.
And I'm Anna with Yay as well.
Do you all know each other? Or?
Not everybody really, no.
Okay. It looks like we have about 10 people on the phone as well.
Hi, this is Heidi. I'm with HCD, and I'm actually one of the lead representatives. I just want to say thank you for all the presenters today. I think we just had a meeting earlier in the week where we were talking about different ways that junior staff can, actually not a meeting with junior staff, it was the 3M meeting with managers, and we were talking about ways that managers and junior staff can use each other better to support each other's goals. And I think a lot of what we learned today speaks to what we were speaking about with the managers. So I'm hoping soon to the junior staff in the room and on the phone that, you know, we can help put those ties for you together. I mean, I'm very excited from what I heard today. I think this can really help tie up some loose ends.
Definitely.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions? Awesome. Well, thank you, like Heidi said, thank you so much, Leslie. We really appreciate your help. For everybody on the phone, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Should be. Sorry?
You should be able
Yeah, just in case. For everyone on the phone, you all will get a link to the evaluation for today. If you could please fill that out, that would be really helpful. Otherwise, if anyone has any questions, I think we're going to skip the debrief just because we don't have enough time. So thank you for coming, and we really appreciate it. Great. Thanks, guys. And if everyone in the room can actually fill out an evaluation, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Also, if you have any questions, you can come visit us on the third floor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, everyone on the phone, if there's anyone else, I'm going to hang up now unless anyone has any questions.